Welcome to Behind the Curtain IMO. I'm Betsy Jordan. It's difficult to look at what has happened in the wake of Hurricane Helene and not ask yourself the question, why? We know, given what has been happening with earthquakes and tidal waves and tornadoes and fires, all kinds of natural disasters, that predicting the unpredictable is where we're sitting. Why is that? Is it an act of God? There are some who would say that. But maybe there's something to this climate change thing after all, don't you think? There have been ways our weather patterns have been altered. I lived through 3 hurricanes, the eye of the hurricane, which came through Wrightsville Beach, North Carolina. And what we found was in the eye of the hurricane, there was a calm, the calm before the storm, and then the calm after the storm, and the calm in the middle of the storm. And what usually happened is, depending on which ways the winds were blowing, the damage was done at the top of the tail of the hurricane. So topsail usually got it harder. The Outer Banks usually got it a little harder than we did at the time. But it hit Wrightsville Beach pretty doggone hard. And those 3 hurricanes had different personalities. And what we found was that hurricanes develop a pathway. And that pathway tends to seat itself in the beginning of hurricane season and stay that way. So if we were going to predict a pattern, it could be there's going to be more coming up the coast, the west coast of Florida and out of the Gulf. I don't want to say that that's what's going to happen because, like I said, predicting the unpredictable. So it's really unpredictable, and it used to be a little more predictable so that we had time to get out and prepare. What happened in Western North Carolina, and I can speak to that more because though I didn't lose anyone close to me, I don't know of anyone of my friends that were hurt. There were many people in Western North Carolina that are without their homes, without access, and some of them, are still out there in the woods, in the storm, in the mountains. So I'm very concerned about that. There are rescue folks giving their lives to find people in Western North Carolina. So it's a very tragic thing. My motivation for talking to you about this today really is about taking climate change seriously. What we know to be true is that ice caps are melting. So what's happening in the Arctic? Well, Russia's gaining more land that is contiguous to the North Pole. We have very little land that is contiguous to the Arctic Circle. We have Alaska. That's all that we have that is waterfront footage. And so because there is more contiguous land to Russia, they stand to gain more if they figure out how to get to that land and get through the passageways through that land, get ships in there. And so something called an icebreaker has been developed, and it uses small nuclear-powered engines. It's fascinating when you think about it, but the inclination to say, okay, this is climate change, and so I need to stop drilling for oil and using fossil fuels and, watching out for methane gas, things like that, which we know are overheating our Earth at a more rapid rate. The incentive's not there because follow the money, right? Russia's gaining more territory. We're gaining little. We have 1 icebreaker to their 3, something like that. And that was, at the time this book was published, I've mentioned it before, Prisoners of Geography. If you want to read more about that, look at this book, and I'm going to put a picture of it in the video. Basically, since they're gaining more ground, do you think the ice caps are melting? Yeah, you should understand that. The Emerging Issues Forum of 1987 or 86 that Governor Hunt started in North Carolina along with NC State University. They were looking at weather patterns, and they were saying the Earth is heating up and that we were going to see the melting of the ice caps. And with that, we were going to see continued erosion, changing weather patterns. They predicted this a long time ago. So for people to be denying it and calling it a hoax, and at the same time, taking other research and blowing it up out of proportion, it's people who don't want you to know the truth. So just understand that the melting of the ice caps, the changing weather patterns, the unpredictability when it used to be predictable, that can be seen as evidence of climate change at work. And we'll talk more about that and what is being done in a way. My attempts to talk to you about it is to talk to you about it from a non-political perspective, but from the truth. And Again, this is in my opinion, and there may be other research that refutes this, but everything that I have seen is saying, look, let's take a look at these things, the things that we're not predicting. Let's see what we can do about it. And maybe one day we may be able to change the weather by using some sort of form of changing the cloud formation. We cannot do that now. And so then we need to explore other options if we want to protect us and also protect our planet at the same time. Sometimes those things are not inclusive of each other. Sometimes they're mutually exclusive. So this is Behind the Curtain, IMO. Thank you for being here.